How many of you have dealt with burnout? Today, I'm going to talk about the time I dealt with burnout. As for at the time, I was working 3 jobs plus being a full-time student, and then talk briefly on how it felt like for me. Each person is different, so keep that in mind. So at the time, I was working my regular full-time job, which I'm a quality technician at an aerospace company here in Hollister. And then I was also working 2 part-time jobs, which I started being a hostess at a steakhouse back in December of 2022. And then I was also a server at a Italian food place, which is no longer existent, which I started there in February of 2023. And then I went back to school as a full-time student for the winter session, which was in January of 2023 as well. So at the time of working 3 jobs, like the winter session went pretty good for me as a student. I think I was taking 2 classes at the time. I passed one, I withdrew from the other because it was starting to become too much. Summer session, I completely withdrawed about 50% of my classes, as obviously working the 3 jobs on top of being a student was overbearing, and I was taking 5 classes at the time as a student, and I was figuring it out that was just too much for me, because I would wake up in the morning, I would show up to my full-time job, I would immediately after my full-time job maybe go home for 15-20 minutes, get change, and then head straight back to work, and I wouldn't get off work until like 8 at the earliest. I think 10, 11 was at the latest. And that was just kind of how my jobs were working out. So as for how burnout was feeling for me, it started off with full body sweats. Then I was having anxiety attacks, and I was just waking up just in a full panic almost. I was constantly getting sick. If it was a headache, my eye twitching, whatever it may have been, I was constantly being sick, so I was constantly having to call out. And it truly sucked. And I know we've all been there where it's like we're having our moments and we're trying to get through it. So something that I'm kind of taking away from that, and obviously with me having to withdraw from my classes from the summer session coming up this fall, I am dealing with academic probation. So I'm trying to get through this semester, this session, and then fall semester of passing my classes. I no longer now work at both restaurants. I am taking a break from working part-time jobs, and I'm truly only focusing on my full-time job as well as focusing on my academics because I'm trying to graduate. And so it's taking that step back and really figuring out what works for my schedule so that way I can graduate. Without being said, in conclusion, what I've learned is really knowing when it's taking a toll on my body and when it's too much and needing a break. And I truly don't recommend overworking yourself to the point of burnout. And it's just taking that time of self-care and really appreciating those small moments that you do have on your own, and really making sure you're regrouping, re-energized, and continuing forward. And thank you.